into open session, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Kaminsky.
Aye.
Mr. Justina.
Aye.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Yes.
Mr. Munoz.
Yes.
Mrs. McKnight.
Yes.
Mrs. Belisca.
Aye.
Public hearing, ordinance 2215, please read the title.
An ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 310 of the code of the Borough of New Providence entitled zoning.
Okay, this is a second reading. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, at this time, anyone from the audience wanting to talk about this ordinance and this ordinance only? Yes, Jeff?
And we'll talk about the council afterwards, right?
Yep.
I figured we'd give you the Pledge of Allegiance and something first.
Oh, we did that. We did that.
No,
We did that.
there is no Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
Just-
No, we did that. We did it already.
Hi,
We'll move to closed session.
everyone. Jeff Road, 240 Central Avenue, here in New Providence. I have a few remarks I'd like to give, please. Knowing that the ordinance change question will apparently come to a conclusion this evening, I think it would be interesting to summarize the things that I heard during the process of the downtown master plan ordinance hearings. So, and by the way, first of all, I'd like to give a hearty congratulations to you, Mayor, and Councilwoman Belisca, for your re-election to council. Congratulations. Well done. I know the borough is going to remain in good hands for a long time. That's a good thing. And secondly,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Grubb. You have some different AV equipment this evening. You may want to put the microphone closer to your mouth. Just, thank you.
so. Someone said to eat. Nice shot of my head, right? So, and then second, I also want to congratulate you all on a very successful downtown New Providence street fair. A couple weeks ago, it was very well attended, as we all saw. It was good to see all the new and old neighbors here that comprise our town. It's really nice to see our folks. You know, and as I walked Springfield Avenue on that Saturday, and I saw just about everybody here, I was struck by how comfortable the scale of the street was for the people that were there. And then while I was standing there in the middle of the street, I tried to imagine what a three-story building or buildings lining both sides of the street would feel like. Maybe some of you did that too. Stand there in the middle of the street, Springfield Avenue, imagine three-story buildings on both sides of the street that this ordinance will permit. And think in words like dark and cold and looming and canyon-like came to mind. It could be like anywhere else in New Jersey. It certainly was not friendly feeling to me. It was what I was getting. You know, certainly not New Providence. So this has been, though, quite a process in looking at all this. We went to council, planning board, council, planning board, council, and so here we are tonight. And I've already given you my professional opinion. That's a night I want to sue. I've given you my opinion as a 60-year plus resident of town. And I've listened to all the comments from the public during the whole process. And so while you probably appears that you might have already decided, I thought it was still useful for those of you here tonight and listening out on the radio here, on cable, and for the record, for later use on what we see here. I want to summarize the things that I heard during the process of the downtown master plan ordinance hearings, just as a recap for all of us. So I heard that the number one issue of all the candidates in the residents' minds was density. And it was never really explained how this change helps keep that in check. Didn't hear that. I never heard an explicit reason was ever given as to why the downtown building height had to be raised, other than it was recommended by someone 6 years ago in a very different economic time. I heard that the council saw fit to reduce the overall height of the buildings in the CCD from 45 to 38 feet, while still keeping the three-story buildings, thinking that that would maintain the small town feel that everybody wants when it clearly will not do what they think it will. I heard that the council saw that it was necessary to reduce the overall height of the buildings in the CCD townhouse district from 45 to 35 feet, thinking that was needed to keep an appropriate scale, but they would not do it for the central commercial district, thinking that 38 feet and 3 stories was okay. I heard that the council was relying, I heard that the council was relying on an applicant's inability to satisfy the parking requirements as the sole check and balance in not having the downtown explode with new and higher buildings allowed by the ordinance. So the sole check that's going to be in place there is their inability to solve the parking problem. In essence, really what you're giving up control of the look of our town and are allowing developers to dictate what we'll get instead of us telling them what we want it to look like and feel like. As we all know, builders' solutions are seldom satisfactory. I heard that the council is relying on a provision in the ordinance that says, quote, an applicant should follow the design guide outlines of providing a second-story setback instead of saying an applicant shall provide a second-story setback, so as to keep the scale of the building smaller and more in keeping with what people have said that they clearly prefer. I also heard that in light of fundamental impact that will change the downtown that this would create, that the council is not willing to take a small, more measured interim step to first allow residential over commercial and see how that goes, see how it unfolds in the market in both scale and in feel. I heard the council was not interested in requesting a traffic study to look at what the potential impact of a full build-out scenario would mean to downtown traffic and congestion. The things that town's residents are most concerned about was never going to be addressed with the study. I heard that the council was willing to allow higher density while no one was clamoring for it. And I heard that the council is on track to pass this without any clear explanation of the need to make the change with no public support for it, and actually many comments voicing specific opposition. So at least that's what I heard during all of this process and all these hearings. So I've just concluded, I say tonight is your last opportunity to take a second look at this, and I really hope you vote to do so. Otherwise, that's it. That's all we got. And as always, I thank you for listening and I thank you for your time. Good luck to us for the next 100 years.
Thank you, James. Anyone else wishing to address council on this ordinance and this ordinance only? Yes, Alan.
Hi, Alan Swanson, 47 Overhill Road. Thank you, Peter. About the microphone.
Oh, okay.
It does make a difference, so we keep that in mind. We all know that Jeff and I have been the two most open critics of the proposed ordinance changes, and specifically the building heights, and Jeff certainly summarized some of those issues that have been brought up, and I'm not going to do that. So I'm not going to repeat those, except to make a couple of observations. And one is that either all of you have expressed or recognized, I believe, that the downtown master plan is not likely to be implemented anytime soon because of the parking consolidation issues that have been brought up, and that really not having that agreements between the businesses happening in the foreseeable future. Second, Mayor Morgan has expressed that he can only think of a couple of buildings that might serve as candidates for the kind of construction proposed in the plan and the permitted ordinance that may be voted on tonight. And the plan further is not likely to become reality due to the number of individual owners who would have to reach agreements to sell their properties. NP Fuel, Tide Cleaners, Colonial, and some others. All of this being the case, and the fact that Mayor Morgan, you pointed out that these ordinances can be changed, and the fact that at a very rare situation where you have to break a tie on this issue, I really have nothing else to add. And honestly, I think what you do with regard to the ordinances on the 3-story buildings is probably not critical, because they're likely not going to be constructed at any time soon. The only exception being the building at 44 South Street, which seems to be slated to be approved in the not too distant future. So all of that being said, I do ask and have one request of you, and that is that I'd like you to resolve to review the overall downtown plan in order to implement those positive changes that can improve upon the pedestrian and the bicycle usage in town and access to downtown, and the safety of those people who are using those means to access downtown. And that's really all that I'd like to add tonight. So I want you to, I think I've mentioned that just about every time I've spoken, and it's really important. And it is in the downtown plan. And so it would be really wonderful if you would take a serious look at that. And that doesn't require a lot of consolidation or agreement among the businesses. You can do it.
Right. We absolutely, a priority with the traffic bureau is not only looking at traffic, but pedestrian and bicycle safety. We told them that is one of the issues we want them to look at. Unfortunately, with the roads, especially downtown, you can't put in bicycle lanes. It's just, then there'd be no parking. So, I know as a kid, I used to ride my bicycle on the sidewalk. But, it's something, you've brought up bicycle racks downtown, and, we've been looking at different things, and, hopefully we can make some progress here.
Yeah, I didn't intend having a discussion about this.
No, I just.
But I'll make one quick suggestion to you. Having ridden about 700 miles around the area on my bicycle, could we put up one sign in town that says share the road with a little bicycle on it? Just one?
Yeah, let's work that down and give it to Andrew, okay?
I mean, more than one would be really great. I understand that I ride in I can tell you what streets you can ride on and what streets you can't ride on, and which ones might be okay for a bike lane and which one won't. And I will tell you that in the future as you move forward.
Okay.
But I appreciate it
that
you look at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I declare the public hearing closed. Any comments from council? Hearing none?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. Thank you, residents, for your input. I'll correct you, Mr. Swanson, I've been opposed to this from day one also. Mr. Grove, thank you both for your input. Mr. Grove, I don't know if I can put it any more eloquent or any more detailed than what you outlined, because I think you did a wonderful job. Let me just share my thoughts, and folks, they're coming from the heart. They're coming from the heart. And I agree, Mr. Grove is funny. Those quiet moments are where you really crystallize your thoughts, right? For me, it's sitting out in front of our bagel place. They're sitting in front of bars having lunch. You're sitting in front of the pizza place. I don't know why all these places I'm mentioning are all food related. That's my problem. But when I'm in those quiet moments in our downtown, I really appreciate the unique and special nature of it. Because it is unique. And it is special. The headline tonight, folks, the headline is that we're at a critical, pivotal moment for the future of our downtown. That's the headline tonight. There are two very different visions being discussed. Are we going to preserve one of our community's greatest assets. That is currently thriving. That is extremely unique. Keeping our downtown quaint and charming. That's the vision I support. Or do we let this ordinance pass, of which has a component that opens the doors for massive downtown development? Let's be perfectly clear what we're talking about. We're not talking about one particular site. It's exactly how Mr. Grove described it. You need to envision when you're changing a zone, the entire zone changing, because you're permitting that usage. What does that downtown look like with 3 stories throughout of mixed use, meaning business and commercial and residential? Let's talk about the downtown master plan. Very thorough document, interesting document, a lot of good stuff in it. This document was created, this was dated, so it was worked on prior to this, January of 2016. Let me take you back to 2016. The Chicago Cubs were World Series champions. The Denver Broncos had won the Super Bowl. The Dow closed at 19,762. Boy, I wish I put more in the market there. We had not heard the term COVID once. I was a little thinner, and I had less gray hair. I don't think I need to go further. My point is clear. The world has changed. Now, I am not saying I don't appreciate or value the hard work put in this document. I do. But what I am saying is it's incumbent upon everyone to take another look at it, to challenge it, and to weigh it based on today's facts. Those facts include the fact that our downtown is thriving. Our downtown doesn't have places that are unoccupied. I happened to be in the shopping plaza down in Long Hill Township, actually last night. You know, the one with the Old Navy, I couldn't believe how many stores in that shopping plaza were unoccupied. We don't have those problems. We came through COVID, our beloved businesses in this town that we all support, came through COVID better than anywhere else I know. We are not Summit. We are not Westfield. We are not Berkeley Heights. We are New Providence. And this little gem of a downtown is special. It happens to be the reason some people move here, because they love that feel so much. The reasons I most often refer to when people talk about their love of New Providence are the warm and friendly people, the great schools, the great access to New York City, and the unique downtown. Specifically, people use the term quaint and charming. We are all out in the community, as it was just said. We talk to residents. What do we hear continuously as their concerns? We hear development in our town and surrounding towns. People throughout the state, they're concerned. They're not sure how this massive development is going to impact the communities. Drive down to see Berkeley Heights, behind Kings. Have you seen the development? Drive to Summit. Drive down in Chatham on River Road. Look at the massive development. These are all new people we will welcome into our community with open arms. But our community's dynamics will change. Traffic. So what are the concerns our residents mentioned? Development, traffic flow, pedestrian safety, downtown parking. And what is in front of us tonight? Something that will open the door for more development, something that will exacerbate every one of those concerns of our dear neighbors and residents. Folks, the decision is very clear to me this evening. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
I just want to add that Pete he knew his decision right from the get-go, right?
Yeah, but let me just stop you there, because it's an important point I failed to make. If the fact pattern before us was that we had many stores that were out of business, business people that were telling us we're hurting, the business people I speak to, they don't want this. They don't want their valuable spots taken by new residents that are living above stores as we develop up and up and up. Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm very open-minded. And if 3 years from now, let's all hope this is not the case, but if our economy becomes very challenged and we're in a different state, then maybe we consider something like this. But folks, it does not make sense now. Thank you.
I was gonna say that I've given it a lot of thought, and I know that everybody on this council has given this a lot of thought. We've sat, with McKinley, we've sat with Keith, we've listened to residents, we've, listened to the planning board and the work that they've put into it. So it's not so cut and dry, and it's not really black and white. It's, this ordinance contains a lot of articles, it contains a lot of topics that go into it besides just the building height. So when it comes time to make a decision on it, it's not just thinking about the building height, but at the end of the day, that is a part of the ordinance. And with Pete, I tend to agree that the building heights in the downtown, the immediate downtown area, would just be a detraction from our point and from what we really love our community for, which is just, small, simple, and pedestrian friendly. Folks from other towns have been telling me, I come into New Providence because, ours is so overbuilt, we just love there. They never have an issue parking. I feel like we hear more complaints about parking from our own residents, but out-of-towners love to come here. They find the parking easy. They love to go to the restaurants in town, and it attracts folks. Our downtown, the way it is, attracts folks. Now, I know this ordinance, you can't spot zone, because there are certain parts of the town that I would say, yeah, I'm totally fine with a 3-story, but not right on the corner of Springfield and, South Street, or right not, where the Adams Shopping Center is. But you can't do that. So it's sort of an all or nothing. So I just wanted to say that it is something that we've given a lot of thought to when we hear our decisions.
Yeah, and Lisa, you bring up another good point. You're right, this ordinance is a lot more voluminous. It's seeking to put underneath chapter 310, our land use and zoning ordinance, a number of things that were not previously included in that ordinance. And you're right, it's got a lot of good things, and just like I said, the master plan has a lot of good things as well. But, with this one element in it, and unfortunately we don't have the ability just to strike one element, like you said, I just cannot be in favor of it.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I would actually just like to hear from our liaison to the planning board. So Matt, do you have anything to say in response to Pete or Lisa on how you feel? And also, what would happen? I mean, I'm not a planning expert, I'm not on the planning board, I have been on the planning board in the past, but I'm not now. What would happen when an applicant they don't just decide to do a building, they still need to go in front of the planning board? What do they need to show as a part of their design? What do they need to do? And again, more importantly, sorry, how do you feel? Okay, or McKinley, either you or Matt.
Answer, but I'll just say this before, you can come on up, I think that's a great explanation on what would happen. But I'll say this, the planning board, I've been on it for 10 years, right? We worked on this plan, and it wasn't a plan that was designed to say, we need to make a change today in order to be competitive with another town. This was a plan that was designed to say, what do we ultimately want to help make sure that our town continues to thrive in the future? So this master plan, it's not a plan that's going to be put into place where we will see massive development, buildings being torn down. This is and what you see on the plan itself is a rendering, right? We don't design, right, what we want in our town. The builders, right, the owners of those buildings, those guys, the architects, they make the designs of how the buildings are supposed to look. What we do is we try to put a plan in place to say, we want it to be designed with our standards, and our standards are certain things that we can put into these plans to make sure that we don't get this huge cavernous building put up in the middle of our downtown. So, and I'll say this, so we've had these discussions. We had public comments, we had public coming, we had poster boards, we talked about it. We didn't get a lot of feedback negatively at the time, not a little. And we amended it based on the feedback that we received from the public. And this is what we got. And I disagree with the thoughts that it's going to ruin our downtown. I disagree with that. I see very good-looking 3-bedroom mixed-use buildings that I think would actually enhance our downtown. That's how I feel. And I think that's okay to feel both ways, right? If you don't think it's a good look for your town, fine. I personally think it's a good look. I think if we do it right, which is what we're trying to do and plan for the future, it'll enhance our downtown, in my opinion. So that being said, and interestingly enough, when back to the planning board, we reviewed it, we had discussions again, and we agreed that it was consistent with what we want with our master plan, and now it's here again, right? So our planning boards looked at it again, right? So, and that's what they're for, right? That's what they're there for. And interestingly enough, there was a comment which I thought was important. It's a Pete's comment. 10 years ago, things were different. The world was different. We didn't have a liquor license 10 years ago, and we have it today. And people were opposed to that, and probably still opposed to it. But it was one of those items that was controversial, and today it's actually thriving in our town, right? So things change, right? Sometimes they're for the better, sometimes they're not. But
I actually agree, and the first thing that was told to us was you got to bring the 45 is out of scale, and we agreed. Sent it back to the planning board, and the planning board said you're right, and we dropped it. It's not like we didn't listen for the component on alcohol. We dropped that too. I mean, we did hear, and we did react. It's not like we didn't hear anybody and said we don't care. We're going to keep it at those higher heights. We did hear it, and and I want to congratulate the planning board. It would have been very easy for them to say, no, keep it the way it was, but they didn't. And that was started even before I was mayor of my second stint. So they've done a lot of work on this for a lot of years. And McKinley, you've gone through it with a fine-tooth comb to keep, and Margaret and Bernadette, everybody. So
we talked about when an application does come in, right, and what the process will be, right, and I'll come back to the planning board.
Yes, so it starts, when someone comes in, it starts with your building and zoning department. You guys have an excellent building and zoning department. I work in a lot of towns, you got a good one. So it goes through Debbie and Keith first. They pick out all of the deviations that the applicant requires. We're talking about setback deviations, parking, any of that. They rank them for it. They then send the application on to myself and Kevin Boyer, who's the engineer for the boards. We review it from our respective disciplines, planning and engineering, continue to call out any additional deficiencies that we noticed. We prepare memos. In those memos, in my memos, I do a full zoning review and then pose questions to them. So if it's a mixed-use building, we need to know, do you have intended hours of operation? Are you going to do a restaurant, which would have a higher demand for parking that might also want outside seating at some point? How are you handling your garbage? Is it a private hauler? Is the town handling it? Security measures. Is there lighting issues? Do you need additional lighting or less lighting? So those are all, anyone who's sat on the planning board before will remember that. That's what we go through before it even gets to the board. Depending on the applicant, sometimes myself and Kevin and Keith will even meet with the applicant before the planning board even sees the application at all. And those can be really good interactions where we work through some of the issues before we even get to the public hearing. And then there's, of course, the public hearing. And sometimes those go more than one night. So depending on how in-depth and detailed the application is, we might hear it 2 or 3 times. So there's a full process that starts with your building department and ends with your planning board. And throughout that, all of those little details get touched on. So
So that includes the parking, that includes the traffic, that includes the setback, that includes everything.
Yes.
So that would ensure that whatever would be built there would not cause additional headache or heartache to the residents or to the businesses.
Correct, and the ordinance provides the planning board with leeway to evaluate the design as well. That was a big component of it, so as you mentioned, Matt, I think it was you who said, you know, the master plan itself is designing the ideal. It's not literally proposing a facade design or an actual architectural topology, but it is providing the guidance so that the planning board has that in front of them, with myself and Keith, who are intimately familiar with it, and of course Kevin will be there for all of the stormwater management.
First of all, McKinley and Councilman, my good friend Councilman Kwiatkowski, I want to thank both of you because of educating everyone on the process, right? So, I'm familiar with it as well. I spent a number of years on the zoning board prior to my sitting on council, so I'm intimately familiar with it as well. But let me refocus the conversation on really what the issue is. Currently, what our downtown zoning requires as far as feet, stories, and usage. Could you elaborate what that is for everyone?
Let me just check, sorry.
I think it is 30 feet, 2 stories, not mixed use. Double check that.
That sounds correct.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, I think that's.
So if an applicant comes before or submits an application for 38 feet, 3 stories, mixed use today, what is that applicant told?
That they have to go to the zoning board for a D variance.
Okay. So today is significant because if it gets approved, assuming everything else is conforming, what would that applicant now be told if this passes tonight?
They have to go to the planning board for a site plan approval.
Okay, but they now met that hurdle where they're in compliance with.
Their use and their height would be compliant,
Okay,
correct?
thank you. That's what's at issue tonight, folks. Make sure you understand and have clarity on that. Thank you.
But they will need to go to the planning board for site plan approval.
And just because they have to go to the zoning board doesn't necessarily mean it won't be approved, right? Zoning boards can approve things, and they have, right? And even if they don't approve it, right, there's still a whole legal process that can happen outside of that process. And so I just want to be clear, right? It's not just that they go to zoning and zoning says no and it's over. And again, the Board of Planning and Planning will work with the professionals to make sure that it's meeting our standards, right?
Correct.
So looking at the big picture, this plan is about planning for the future and planning it right for what's best for New Providence, right? So I don't think we should take a short-sighted view and say, look, we should have passed it tonight simply because our downtown is thriving, right? Economies are cyclical, right? We're doing well now, but in 5 years from now, we may not be. 10 years from now, we may not be. And we would need those downtown residents to help the businesses thrive that are in the downtown currently. I'll give you a couple of examples of when the council back in 2016 passed a couple of zoning changes that affected 2 important corridors, right? So back, I think, when Vince Beast was the council, he said over there, he came to us and said, let's change the zoning on Mountain Avenue to allow CCRCs and healthcare facilities, and we did. And as a result of those changes, we had Lantern Hill built, and it's a great, thriving, and it's an asset to New Providence now. It's a great center there. Then he said, let's change the zoning on Central Avenue down by the business district to allow for medical uses and other, lab spaces. And we did. And we had the Sheriff Network come in. We had Atlantic Health come in and put a facility there. So as a result of these changes, right, as a result of not being short-sighted, we were able to help New Providence thrive, and kind of we're reaping the benefits now, if you will, right? So I think we need to keep a forward-looking view when we consider this proposal.
Let me, Councilman, let me say again, I agree with everything you said as well. I think, but let me add to it and refocus the conversation again. Yes, it's about 2 different visions. And, yes, this is forward-looking and creative, but at the same time, I think strongly that you need to base what you're going to decide on the current fact pattern. And like I said, if 2 years from now, and I don't even want to say these words, but if we're in a serious recession and things are going south and we're losing businesses in town and they need some, then yes, we're open to new ideas. But as things currently stand, our community's number one concern right now is development, followed by traffic, pedestrian safety, and all these other things. And by passing this, you're ignoring those concerns and you're exacerbating those concerns.
I disagree. I think they're concerned about development, dealing with affordable housing, right, those mandates, not downtown development.
I think they're concerned about development in terms of density, as far as numbers that,
Density with those affordable housing units, not, because that will affect our school district, not building a better downtown.
Well, it depends on your vision of what better is, isn't it?
Okay,
I like
we've
Quentin Charm.
discussed this enough.
Can I just
Go ahead.
add? Thank you to everybody for your formal and informal comments. As you know, I did recently run, I've spoken to hundreds of people. I've had a lot of formal information, I've had a lot of informal information. So I know that in our public view and on some forums, there's been a lot of negativity. I've actually also heard some good things about building up and building residents on top of businesses and this vision. I feel that the ordinance has its issues, but I feel that there are a lot of pieces to this ordinance which the codification will help our town run more smoothly and efficiently. I think it's actually very important and something that in my youth I would not have liked the term living document. I think that's something that's very poignant and something that is very important at this point. And I think somebody mentioned it behooves us to stay on top of this issue and to stay on top of everything that happens. And if the ordinance goes through, we have to continue to watch it. If it doesn't, we have to continue to watch it. It is something that I think is at the heart of everybody, that we love our downtown, we love our town, and I think everybody's best interest is in.
Okay,
If you'll indulge me for one
Sure.
second, because our esteemed attorney said that I need to say this on the record. Schedule 3, which was included in this tonight, is the schedule for commercial and industrial zones, the bulk standards. There were 2 typographical errors that we caught last week, and we replaced that document. And I'll say for the record what those 2 errors were. In the OR zone and the C1 zone, we neglected to separate out the townhouse use from the other uses when it came to the FAR standard. And that standard is explicitly discussed in the text of the ordinance, and it just happened to be accidentally left out of the bulk chart. So there's that doesn't affect anything at all, I promise. The attorney has reviewed it, it is typographical in nature, we just needed to say on the record that it was replaced last week on the website. So, has been said and noted.
Well done.
Thank you.
okay, Wendy, roll call?
Mr. Kaminsky.
Aye.
Mr. Disarno.
No.
Mrs. Joffrey.
Yes.
Mr. Munoz.
Yes.
Mrs. McKnight.
No.
Mrs. Belisca.
Okay, let's go on to ordinance 2022-16, please read the title.
An ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 257 of the Code of the Borough of New Providence entitled Vehicles and Traffic.
What this is cleaning up the ordinance over on South Street and Malcolm and those types of things. If anybody has any comments, please raise your hand. Seeing no one, I declare the hearing closed. Roll call, please. Do I need a motion? Motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Kaminsky.
Aye.
Mr. Disarno.
Aye.
Mrs. Joffrey.
Yes.
Mr. Munoz.
Yes.
Mrs. McKnight.
Yes.
Mrs. Belisca.
Okay, I need approval of minutes for October 25th.
So moved?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
No, so be it. We have correspondence, 1823 Springfield Avenue, a public hearing for the Board of Adjustment. Let's go to council business. Diane, administration.
Thank you, Mayor. We have resolution 2022-269, which is a resolution approving website hosting and design services provided by Civic Plus. This has been coming for some time. The borough has looked at a bunch of different websites. I will not steal Lisa's thunder. She will speak about it in our reports later on.
I have a quick question on this resolution. This is the second company that's been brought in. It's the third year of the project. Before approving this resolution, do we have a time frame for when we could expect completion? Who is responsible for managing this process to completion, and when we get updates on it?
So this is not the second company. The first company was our existing website host, and they changed hands. They sold during the project, which actually made the project extend out, and ultimately they could not deliver what we were looking for. Civics Plus is used by most municipalities in the area, Berkeley Heights, Summit, Westfield. Their timeline is approximately 6 to 8 months.
Okay, who internally is in charge of it?
I am.
Okay. I'm just eager, I know the residents are eager. This was another thing that was recently discussed and you were out there campaigning as far as, communication. This is something that we're all eager to see. So if we could just get regular updates, I'm excited to hear the progress.
Just to a few things. So one of the reasons that finding a new host company for us has taken a little bit longer is because we do certain things a certain way here regarding the agenda, storing documents that are not readily available by every person who's putting out a website. So, vetting it down to what we are comfortable working with took this long of a time, but at the end, if you go to any of those websites, you'll see that not only are they ADA compliant, which is something that we were trying to accomplish with our old vendor, but they're also laid out in a more comprehensive way.
Right.
Okay, Pete, committee activities.
Activities, authorization to bid the Corso Center roof replacement project. This bid is in conjunction with the Year 48 CDBG grant program. The borough was allotted $50,000 towards this project. Resolution 2022-270 is a salary resolution. That's a salary resolution for recreation basketball program. Resolution 2022-271 is a resolution authorizing agreement between the Borough of New Providence and Sage Elder Care Inc. for year 2023. Sage provides support, information, assistance, and education to New Providence older adults and their families who are coping with elder care issues. That's it.
Okay, finance, Matt.
Thank you. Resolution 2022-272 is a resolution refunding or applying overpayment of taxes to certain property owners. So this is just a return of overpayment for 6 residents. So we're giving them their money back. Sometimes we receive those funds from their servicing, sometimes they pay us twice. We have to refund them. Resolution 2022-273 is a transfer resolution. This resolution authorizes transfer of funds between our accounts to address line item shortfalls. We are allowed to start this process in November, so we look at our accounts and we're transferring funds between them. And Resolution 2022-274 is a resolution authorizing payment of the attached bills payable list in the amount of $7,231,356.52. Some of the significant items include our Board of Education payment of $6,751,969 for November. Our state of New Jersey health benefits of $102,071, as well as our library November payment of $85,585.
Okay. Rezo, keep going, Matt.
Resolution 2022-275 is a resolution authorizing the contract for municipal management software from Spatial Data Logic. This is just our annual contract renewal for the municipal management software that we use that helps service our fire prevention, planning, our zoning boards, and property maintenance. This contract's for $22,100.
Okay, Rob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 2022-276 is a resolution of the Borough of New Providence approving Seminary Speech School's request to sublease a portion of their property to Signature Relocations LLC. So actually the borough owns the front part of that building, 705 Central Avenue, where the Seminary Speech School is located. They're not using the entire space, so they want to sublease it to a tenant to help get some revenues for the school. And they need our permission to do it.
Okay, we have public safety, a limousine license to Tamer El-Shami, Rocky Limo LLC, and it was properly prepared and reviewed. Okay, discussion items? Seeing none. Committee reports, well, we've all been very busy these last few weeks. But, one thing with public safety, as you know, we did a traffic, agenda last year. And, we told everybody that we would get together either November or December with the police department for a community, forum to tell people what we did last year, where we're going next year, and some more long-term planning. So that'll be, did the police department ever get back to us with the date?
I don't have a date yet, but I'll get one.
Okay, good. Okay. Mike?
So I missed the Board of Health meeting, I had some personal to take care of, so Council Munoz will give you an update there. But I just, update I want to talk about. Well, we have a finance meeting coming up for our end of year planning, so I'll have a report on that next meeting. But in regards to engineering consultant and construction, I just wanted to touch base regarding our cricket pitch, and I'll give you a quick update there. I don't have an update. I'm very, very, very disappointed right now in our engineers that I didn't get an update for today's meeting. Just a quick review of the timeline, right? We approved this back in June, right? We approved it in June. At that point, we engaged the engineers to help plan, to help process the bid, and finalize the design, right? We met in July, August timeframe. I walked the field. Right? The cricket club guys came and met with our recreation and Bernadette and made sure that everybody was on the same page. And our cricket club members come to every meeting since June in support of this. And you know, I just feel sorry, and I apologize to you personally. I just want to be on record that I'm extremely disappointed in our engineering that we couldn't get this done. I'm told we'll have this for our December meeting, so I'm looking forward to getting something very soon. I know we did receive something from Field Turf, which is the company that we're using to do the turf, and it wasn't what we expected, right? So we had to go back, but and that happens. But that happened very late in the process, and again, I think that's it wasn't on anything that we did. You know, I think it was more of just someone paying closer attention to it. So again, I just wanted to reiterate that you know, hopefully we'll have something in the December meeting. You know, I thank the cricket club for continuing to come to meetings and support it, and I feel sorry that they continue to do that, and we were able to get it done as fast as we could.
It's gonna be there.
But that being said,
So Matt, where is it in the process?
so we're waiting on Field Turf to give us a bid, right? So what we gave them the design, right, the location, the size, all that good, all that information that they need to give us a bid, right? Once they give us a bid, then we can approve the bid if we agree. We have an estimate based on our engineers that it would cost X, and so the expectation is that it'll be around there. If it comes in around there, then I think we'll be comfortable with it, and we'll have to just approve that bid. Once we approve that bid, then it goes to the engineers. Then we'll have to schedule the contractor to come out and actually prepare.
So is it on the engineer's plate right now to get this bid?
100%. 100%.
Well, while we're on the engineer, to say that I'm disappointed beyond belief is an understatement. We were promised, no matter what, that bridge would be there November 1st. They said still supply chain issues. So they told me the 8th. Now they're saying, what, the 14th?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Then they have to set it down, put it together. And then they got to pour concrete for the flooring. They're talking what, December now?
I would think December 1st or December 5th is a realistic date for it actually opening and being used.
I gotta tell you,
Weather permitting.
I'm extremely disappointed, and I gotta tell you, You know, we go out there in good faith, and we go out there and try and get these projects done. And we're on them, Bernadette's on them all the time, and I think we're just a little fish in a big sea with this company. And we don't get the correct information, we don't get the accurate information. It's just unbelievable.
So I'll say this, you know, we did a lot, right? We did a lot this year in terms of construction engineering, right? All of the roads, the bridges, and things of that nature. There was a lot that happened this year, right? So I'll give them credit, you know. And there's a lot of big ticket items, but you know, sometimes it comes down to, you know, the little things, you know, that are important, especially to the residents, right? So, you know, again, I just food for thought. You know, I want to give them credit. We did a lot this year, for sure. But yeah.
I guess my frustration is, you tell me one thing, I go with it, and then, you know, it turns out to be false. And that's always been my problem with, we get information and it's not correct. And, you know, we put our reputations on the line because we're telling people, this is when it's coming. I mean, I first started hearing that we were gonna get it in January. And then it was March, then it was June, then it was August, then September. It's just, you know, and I understand supply chain, I really do. But, you know, just tell us the truth so people can plan. And I think that's my biggest frustration. If a bridge or your electric goes out or just give me the right information so people can make plans to take care of their affairs. And especially this bridge when they have the little kids walking to school. So, I'm done.
Matt, quick question, if this doesn't work out, would you consider a natural surface or not? Could that be done? Does it have to be turf synthetic?
I think the idea and concept behind the turf is a more truer bounce in order for it to actually be natural, you still have to do almost all the same work in the sub-prep of the turf itself.
Mm-hmm.
But then you would have to plant specific grass and mow that grass and maintain that grass, which would cost would be expensive. So.
Yeah. Okay, Pete.
Sustainability Committee met on October 26th. A lot of talk going to look at planning for next year. Once that's been decided, come in front of council and get approval for whatever projects the team decides to pursue. We have a capital meeting, I believe next week, the capital committee meeting, which I'm looking forward to. And I got an update with regard to our community activities, which I'll read out from our director, Allison Smith. Demolition of the old gazebo at Veterans Park on South Street has begun as we prepare for construction for the new gazebo. The new gazebo project is being made possible thanks to a Union County Kids Recreation Trust Fund grant, along with the support of Mayor and Council. The new structure will provide a welcome place for people to recreate and enjoy our beautiful Veterans Park and adjacent Harmony Park. So we expect that the project will be completed by the end of the calendar year. So that should be a welcome addition to the community.
And those grants, people say, are we getting money back from the county? We're getting money back from the county, right? So the recreation department does a great job of going out and making sure we have projects, right? They apply for the grants, and we get the money back to do great projects like this. This is a good one for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. My committees, I don't have a report for that, but I do want to just mention that on the 11th, several of us did attend a ribbon cutting at the United Methodist Church for a group called LINK. LINK is a student-led organization that is looking to help our community, to help our residents. And one notable thing that they have is a food pantry. That food pantry, of course, has food, but it also has clothing items hygiene items, and cleaning supplies. So they are taking in donations from anybody in the public, so I just really wanted to share this evening that if anybody wanted to donate to help the residents in town, there's a donation, there's a bin outside the church that is available that people can deposit in at any given time. And again, so 2 students, Aiden Barth and Abby Franco, are leading this effort. They're doing a great job, and so far I think monthly they help 12 families. They give several pounds of food to the families. They also help them weekly. They get sandwiches from the OLP sandwich drive. So 2 students from our high school actively engaging with residents in our community to feed them weekly, feed their families monthly, and to help them out. So I'm reaching out to residents to help us contribute to them, help us get back to our residents, and a thank you to these students for making that possible. Other than that, operations normal.
Okay. Also should say, a bunch of us helped at the Veterans Luncheon on the 11th, and it's a nice ceremony. So we want to thank all the veterans for their service. Okay.
Just briefly, Mr. Mayor, there was a Board of Health meeting that I attended. It's pretty quiet as far as the Board of Health is concerned. I mean, there are increasing numbers of COVID patients throughout the county. But they did say that the new vaccine that's targeted towards the new variant is out, and they encourage everyone to go out and get it, as well as get your flu vaccine, because they are seeing big numbers in flu cases as well. That's it.
Okay. Lisa.
Thank you, Mayor. So we had a little get together, I guess, little update from the DPW, so to speak. So Councilman Munoz, Bernadette, and I met with Ralph, and Anthony jumped in as well, just to give us an idea of what's going on with them. As you may or may not know, our DPW crew consists of only about 14 people, like in this entire town, and we've got 14 of them. And of that, 2 are fleet maintenance and 4 at the wastewater treatment plant. So then really you only have 8 that are out on the road doing everything that they do every day. Ralph just stressed that this is their extremely busy season. They've got leaf vacuums going all day. It takes all of their road crew, plus sometimes they have to pull from their fleet maintenance to just have all those vacuums going and getting those leaves picked up. And then they go right into snow season. So it is like from one fire into the next. Besides that, they've got the holiday decorations to put up, the Christmas walk to get ready for, the gazebo here in Centennial Park is going to be adjusted for our Night of 1,000 Stars so that we can have that. And then the lights on the poles will be turned on probably in a couple weeks. So while we were speaking of DPW, Anthony was on the call. Anthony runs our wastewater treatment plant. And there's been a lot of talk in town about our infrastructure, right? And our wastewater treatment plant is, I would consider that New Providence's largest, most valuable infrastructure. It's hidden away. People probably don't even know that it's back there, but it's made up of miles of, collection pipes, motors, pumps, grinders. It treats 1.5 million gallons of wastewater a day, typically, and that's on a dry day. God forbid it's raining and we get a lot of water in our sewers, it's a lot more than that. But Anthony and his team really do a tremendous job of maintaining and staying ahead of needed repairs and upgrades. They have a short-term plan and a long-term plan of upgrades and improvements to stay ahead of things that might be coming down the pike. New construction at Lantern Hill. They're going to be adding equipment to their facility that will prevent clogs kind of coming down to the wastewater treatment plants. And Anthony put together a little flyer, which I thought was great. It's called Avoid the Drain Pain. Now, I know it's not a fun subject to talk about, but what he says is that our sewer system is not really designed to collect trash. Human waste and toilet tissue are only products that the wastewater system was designed to handle. So I think that we are going to put out, a post saying, this is what you can flush and this is what you can't flush. Don't throw this stuff down the drain. It's going to clog our system up.
And it's going to ruin our wastewater treatment plant, which, you know, is our largest, most valuable asset. So, very informative there. And then on recycling, we spoke about that, and just a reminder to all the residents that the DPW yard does collect cardboard, paper, bottles, cans, aluminum cans also collected at the firehouse, which benefits the St. Barnabas burn unit. They collect electronics, foam, and we've now entered into a consortium with Union County to collect plastic film. And I know we would do that occasionally through the schools, it would go to Trex, but now on a regular basis, twice a month on the Saturdays when they open up the DPW yard, you can bring in your plastic film. Union County will collect that and it will go to Trex, so they can use that. So that's the DPW update. Bernadette spoke about communications a little bit and the website and some of the issues that we were having with the prior company, which is why we are now going with Civic Plus. So hopefully, you know, next year we're going to be looking at a nice redesigned, streamlined website. And as Bernadette said, our neighboring communities do use it and they're extremely happy with it. So very much looking forward to that. Also want to mention just an FYI, this was also something that was mentioned a lot about borough communications. Just to remind everyone that borough communications will only come from our website, our borough Facebook page. We also have a Twitter account. So if you need something, or if you want information, if you have a question, that's where you need to go. If you have a question or a concern, you can fill out an action line, or you can email one of us here up here. We will get back to you with an answer. Those are the only formal modes of communication with the borough. It's not on Facebook or other forms of social media. The library board met, and I had mentioned maybe a couple months ago that they hired consultants to do a strategic plan. That plan was presented and it was accepted unanimously by the board. They've, you know, provided many potential initiatives to improve the residents' library usage and experience, some really great ideas. And I think that everybody's going to be really happy with the library once we start getting some of these initiatives rolled out. So I'm looking forward to that. And just as an aside, Lisa Florio, who is the library director, is retiring at the end of the year, and the board is actively seeking her replacement. And we will have someone replaced by the end of the year. And then it's still going. It's been a busy couple weeks. Municipal Alliance met. They're still doing their QPR training. They are now adding YMCA to their folks that are going to be doing the QPR training. But one of the things that they did talk about was this black poster project, and I think Nikki does know about that. And they're going to be doing that, and it's actually a physical tribute to souls lost to addiction or overdose. This black poster project is actually an awareness group from New Jersey, and what they do is they travel with hundreds of posters. They're on a black background, so they're pictures of individuals that passed on this black poster, and it's just to honor these souls who have struggled and lost the battle to addiction. So that's going to be coming here to New Providence on April 24th. So that'll be,
It's going to be very powerful.
very moving,
very powerful.
Yes.
Lisa, that library study, or the master plan, the forward-looking document, I participated in the information gathering provided to residents, opinion on things. Is that available for residents to look at yet, or no?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet, but I think they're putting some final tweaks on it.
Okay.
I'll let you know when it's public.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah, some good ideas. And then lastly, I know that it's not a borough committee, but I just kind of wanted to plug Community Service Association a little bit because they are a part of this community and they do so much good for the residents here. They just sent out their annual mailer, for donations. And so if it's you know, behoove to, please send in a donation. CSA is funded 100% with fundraising and donations. So once again, we're partnering with the Scouts and Faith Lutheran on November 19th for Scouting for Food, which is this weekend.
The bags are out.
Yep, the bags are out, so we'll put your bags out with food. They'll be collected by the Scouts, they'll be taken up to Faith Lutheran. There will be hundreds of volunteers there unpacking the bags and distributing the food, and we pack we have about 30 families that we pack food for right here in Providence, and they get a nice bulk of that food that's collected. So that's a great thing. Night of 1,000 Stars, which is an activity that is from the Diversity Committee. That's going to be on December 2nd, but it's really the CSA, the Lions, the Packet Club, and the local music organizations that come together with diversity to collaborate with that, so that'll be nice. And then lastly, the CSA Pasta Dinner and Basket Raffle is going to come back after a 2-year hiatus. We'll be seeing that on March 26th. Mark your calendars. And that's all.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Diane?
Well, I will try to be quick. So Board of Ed, the bond referendum was unanimously approved. I think it was roughly 3-to-1 margin. So the schools will see a lot of activity, upgrading their HVAC systems. That's the hugest part of the bond referendum. And that should take place next summer. They're going to go out to bid, et cetera, et cetera. The schools are going well. Kudos to the marching band who won states and nationals. The fall plays this weekend too. And the Historical Society, after a hiatus, is now partnering back with the schools into their pre-pandemic activities. I believe first graders were at the Historical Society today, visiting, and they have visits this week, so that's really exciting that those will be again. That's it.
Bernadette?
Thank you, Mayor. Just really quick, leaf vacuuming continues on the east side of town this week. Once the truck is at past your house, it's not coming back, so please don't put anything out after they leave you. Vacuuming, there's no leaf vacuuming next week due to the holiday. DPW will be out putting up holiday decorations in the downtown. And the last day to put brush out at the curb and pails is Monday, December 12th. That's the high level on leaf collection. I just do want to remind you guys that we did receive $29,000 grant for the American Rescue Plan Fireman's Grant. That money will be used to purchase safety equipment for the fire department. And just today we received the second part of the opioid settlement money. So if you guys remember, the original amount was $2,595 that we'll receive every year for 18 years. On top of that, we'll also receive $2,714.60 for the same time period, so that'll be good through 2036. When we're down at the league this week, I plan on sitting in to find out how we could best use that money for the borough. That's all I have.
Great. Okay, at this time we have public comments. Anybody wishing to address council? Yeah, please.
Conley, 415 Oakwood Avenue. I've spoken to you before about my comments regarding the resolution that Brown just passed. I still don't understand why we're creating a townhouse zone in a current residential neighborhood with people's concerns with densities, but that'll be about for another day if it actually comes to fruition. I'm just here to say I'm really impressed with the work that you folks put in, council members and the mayor, in going back and forth over this resolution. And the planning board, if you would take back my comments to them, they did an awesome job in listening to residents, making revisions, resubmitting. The fact is you heard us, and that's what really counts. And for that, I thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
That's it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Jeff?
Just wanted to add two things to the Public Works report. You can hear us all, Adam. I was out last week with Ralph and his second in command. We staked out 28 red buds that we got from the county to add to Harmony Park and the environs of Veterans Park. They'll be planted, I think, by county forces or a contractor that the county's hired, with 28 free red buds that have been staked out in that section of the Harmony Park, and they'll be done hopefully still this fall. The other thing was, I heard from Pete that there was a bid out for reconstruction of the gazebo at Veterans Park. And if some of you might have been on the council way back when I presented a master plan for Veterans Park some time ago to reconfigure it such that it made a little bit more sense sign-wise and had more of a holistic look at it, such that it functioned better as a park, where we had Veterans Park, which grew by accretion, and then we had Harmony Park slapped on as a secondary piece when the land became available. And I had done a presentation years ago where I had done a preliminary master plan for Harmony and Veterans in Harmony Park that reimagined many of the sections, especially the feature was the pool of remembrance. Mary, remember that?
I remember it, it's a little too expensive.
Well, yeah, but, that's why we have long-term plans.
Like you said, it was a plan.
Well, it was a plan. I just wanted to remind those that weren't around for that exists, and when I heard about the gazebo, my question is, does it go back in the same spot that the existing gazebo is now, in the same configuration? Because the master plan that I did was predicated on that gazebo being that shape in that spot.
Jeff, we kept the stone wall, so the new gazebo is going to fit over that stone wall.
Okay.
So it is going in exactly the same spot, and I do want to reassure you that I have your master plan from my recreation days, and we are still using it. So.
Even with the pool,
It is with the pool, and if we could ever do that, it would be an awesome project.
Yeah.
Speaking of bridges, one of the things in that plan too was a bridge over the creek to get to the much less used side on the Spring Garden side. So if you don't want to complain about bridges, I'll get you a new one to complain about. But the 28 red buds from the county were staked out last week. Ralph and I did that, and they will be going in at the county's convenience. So there you go.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Jeff, I just wanted to I think there was some issues with DP and flood waters and that nature related to some of the plans. That's why, they may not have been implemented.
No, I understand. But I think to get into a preliminary discussion on the larger side of the creek would be a good thing to do if we were going to next tackle the next large major park project in town. Now, most of the other parks in town have been addressed to some extent, and I think, in my opinion, as the town's de facto pro bono landscape architect, I think that we can look at Veterans Park and make some improvements to how it functions and how it appears with very little cost and very little effort. So we can work on that and continue to work on that and make some, just keep on keeping on.
I agree with you, and I think Ivan brought it up as well. Maybe that's something we should start talking more about.
Sure.
Is the entrance to the park, right? We bought the property on the corner there now, so it's been cleared, right?
Yeah.
And it might be an opportunity to make that more of a focal entrance, to the park. So
when I did the plan, that didn't exist yet. There were still houses sitting there, so we can go back and rethink that and have some discussion on that. I'd like to do
I
that.
think that'd be great if you got involved in that, for sure.
I did think though, when I staked out the 28 red buds, that would possibly be coming down the pipe, so we purposely didn't plant 28 red buds in that spot, leaving it so that it had more flexibility to being more of a major entrance as you're coming down South Street, and you see that as a focal point.
Right. Thank you.
Well, we're waiting for a new clock anyway.
It's in the works.
I know it
Be
is.
here by spring.
Okay.
Yeah, it comes with the bridge, see ya.
Anyone else wishing to address council? Seeing no one, I declare the public hearing closed, and I need a motion for items 1 through 10, please.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Calusi?
Aye.
Mr. DeSarno?
Aye.
Mrs. Jeffrey?
Yes.
Mr. Munoz?
Yes.
Mrs. McKnight?
Yes.
Mrs. Belisca?
Aye.
Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All in favor? No, so be it. I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.